With a bit of free time over the break, I thought I'd go through an old manga again. This time, Billy Bat was the name, and I guess reading was the game. This is a really interesting read that not a lot of people have actually read, but I want to talk about it. It's an alternate history time-hopping adventure following the titular comic Billy Bat and its authors throughout key historic events and spans hundreds of years, with a seasoning of the supernatural along the way. 165 chapters across 20 volumes written from 2008 to 2016, although that does include a hiatus right near the end. Is it something worth reading though? Today I'm going to be taking a few minutes to ask that question. So, should you read Billy Bat? This story is really hard to talk about without spoilers, so we're going to be keeping it brief. So much happens in this story that I really don't want to give away. Although in saying that, I will mention a few plot points that do happen, but completely out of context as to not ruin any surprises.
What do we say to the god of
spoilers?
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
So let's go. Step number 1, the story. What's the synopsis, what's the plot, and why should I care? Step 2, the author. What context does the author give, and is Billy much like his other work? Step 3, judgment. Whether or not it's worth the time to actually read. So, with no more preamble, let's crack in.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down.
Meet Kevin. Kevin Yamagata is our protagonist and debatably the main character. He is a hard-working mangaka responsible for the comic series Billy Bat, a work of his own creation. Due to his history, he has a deep value for authenticity, which is challenged when someone mentions that they've seen this Bat character before in Japan. So Kevin heads to Japan to see if this Bat is the real deal, and if he may have unconsciously plagiarized the idea. Along the way, he encounters a conspiracy to rewrite history, assassinations in post-war Japan, prophecies of destruction, and the supernatural aspect that makes up this Billy Bat. From there, the spiral begins, and the story escalates to including the moon landing, the crucifixion of Christ, 9/11, the assassination of JFK, feudal ninja-era Japan, most of these being developed even in the early chapters. And along the way, we also interact with some key historic figures, including Jesus, Lee Harvey Oswald, Albert Einstein, and even Adolf Hitler, each of them all somehow related to the Bat.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
The story itself is at its best just following the lives of these characters as they try to make the right choices. You know, Kevin is just trying to do what's right and not get sucked into this cruel hidden world. And it is cruel. The story shows a lot of tragedy and is upfront about the horror the world can be. Early arcs deal with the Black Civil Rights Movement. How do you react to this horror when standing up could mean your family? In the story, it goes so far as to show the KKK burning a man alive. If I had to give the overall story one theme throughout, it would be hope in spite of everything. In spite of the situation at the time, the characters hope for change. They hope that their actions will matter. They hope that the purpose they find is a noble one in a struggling world.
So you want to write a book. I know the feeling. I've been writing books for more than 40 years.
Naoki Urasawa is an absolute rock star, and probably a name that you've heard before. He's released some absolute bangers in the past, including Pluto with the author of Astro Boy, Monster, one of my all-time personal favourites, and 20th Century Boys and its sequel 21st Century Boys. All of these are amazing, and I would gladly recommend the English releases any day. This is a 2-page fold from his most recent work, Asadora. You can see the realism in the landscapes, and if we go down to this lady's face, it's just amazing. I love this face. Urasawa has a way of drawing his characters realistically, but with just the right amount of cartoonification. This is the cast of 20th Century Boys, and you can see how each character is distinct and realistic, with no character being morphed to such ridiculous heights. As far as drawing goes, he's a 10 out of 10, would art again. So let's say he ticks the illustration bucket, but what about in writing? Let's circle back to our main man Kevin and take him as an example. His journey starts out as a pursuit for authenticity, then he gets caught up in the plot for most of the story before returning back to the idea of authenticity and purpose. Don't get me wrong, I am glued to the story as it progresses, but I personally don't think that the characters fully embrace their core ideals as much as in other stories. That being said, it's the realism of the journey that we're drawn into. Decisions made seem natural rather than at the whims of any author's intended themes.
Judge Judy.
Oh, please. That's baloney. You look ridiculous. Got it? You ready?
I'm ready.
So with a bit of context into the story, let's return back to the original question. Should you read Billy Bat? Yes, I think you should. This story is an absolute ride to be on, and it has a lot of heart. From the art to the writing, you'll be caught up in this alternate world and enjoy every minute of it. From the happy moments to the grandiose, the fatalistic and the hate, the sadness and the tragedy, this story won't pull punches and will take you on an amazing journey you'll be glad to have gone on. Yes, this is a story I hope you will read, and I hope I have done enough here today to pique your interest. If you're looking to just dip your toes, I'd say read into about chapter 28. You'll have a really good feel for what the story is like, and it's the start of the Lee Harvey Oswald arc, which is one of the better ones. Well, that's going to be all for this video. There will be another one out soon with a full spoiler discussion for those who don't feel so intrigued to read it themselves or have already read it. In the meantime, if you know of any other good manga that don't get enough love, drop us a comment below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, this has been CG, and I'll see you G's in the next one.